Welcome everyone to my new series, Greedy Peeps. We have 4 peeps in here playing a deck, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna mulligan a couple hands, explain why we might pitch some hands, and then we're gonna play 2 turns out, and then we'll talk about what hand we kept and what changed. But let's learn about our peeps today. Bus, what did you bring for us today?
I brought Kinnan Bonder Prodigy, which is going to be hopefully a relatively fast deck for a Sans Naz deck that relies on Basalt Monolith, Mirage Mirror to set up infinite mana, get out a Thrasios Drama deck, and win.
And what about you, Krunch?
I'm playing Golos Tireless Pilgrim, without a doubt the best deck in the format. It's a 5-color turbo deck that Golos fetches his best friend, a tree, in Boseiju to make it uncountable. And yeah, we don't do any of that Thrasios shenanigans because we are Alpha Chad Naz play.
And lastly, we have Glucose on. What do you have there?
I'm on good old Heliod white stacks to hopefully shut down everybody's fun and try to win with good old Ballista and test out some new Modern Horizons 2 cards. Those are interesting. We got like 4 in the new set, so I'm very excited.
Exciting, I hope we get to see them. So we're going to be doing proper mulligans, probably for the first time ever in the history of CEDH, where Bus is going to mulligan first, announce if they want to keep, and then I'll mulligan. And then we'll go in turn order.
Wait, don't you go first, Trevor?
Oh, sorry, I'm going first. I forgot.
Yeah.
I forgot. So I will go first and mulligan my hand. Oh, I kind of want to keep this already. So I'm gonna stop right here. I'm gonna keep this.
Oh no. My deck, there are no bad hands, just there are hands that could be better, so I'm gonna mull this one away. You may look at this hand and say it might be bad. There are better hands, but this, what the people in the audience can't see is that this is clearly like a super pog turn 1 Golos, and hopefully, maybe you draw Bolas Citadel and just win the game on turn 2. But seeing that Rebel kept her first hand, it kind of makes me more wary and leads me to want to make better decisions with my life and mull this hand for something a little more proactive and maybe with a bit of interaction mixed in.
Oh, this hand's very tempting, but I'd probably get a mulls again because it's my first 7 and I can be greedy. So here's what I'm mulliganing away. It's very tempting because we have 1 land, which is, not the worst. Mana Vault, which means very good acceleration into holding up turn 2 Aven. And also with some relevant interaction with silences, we have both Silence and Orange Chant, which I like a lot. The issue of this is that what I found a lot of Heliod and other stack stacks is when I do turn 1 Mana Vault, turn 2 Pass, everybody immediately knows I'm holding up an Aven Mind Sensor if I'm not playing out Heliod or something. Even though this also has a Spring Leaf, which means I effectively have 2 mana that is stable, and a Solitude, just really good at exiling, once again, SisayJeganthas.
I hate this meta. I hate this set.
So I love Solitude, it's an amazing card. But yeah, like I said, I can get a lot more greedy with this hand, so I'm tossing this one back.
Seeing Glucose and Krunch have mulled, but Rebel hasn't, the hard decision with this hand that I'm currently going through, and I think I actually keep this hand, is because it's partially relying on Glucose's abilities with Heliod.
Huh.
This is absolutely a greedy keep, and I'll show you guys after.
This
But
is
yeah,
so exciting. I want to see now.
I keep this.
Nice. Alright, Crunchy.
Wait, why does Krunch have 8 cards in hand?
I don't know what he's doing, but yeah.
That's why Golos is good. You start with 8 cards.
Imagine a commander that said you start the game with 8 cards in hand.
Oh, that's the next set. You know it.
That's like the next
There are no
evidence,
bad hands in Golos, but there's not a lot of mana. There's not a lot of mana. There's no payoff in the form of tutors or wheels. And knowing that both Rebel and Bus kept their first 7s, kind of makes this hand essentially unkeepable. I mean, in most cases, this hand is pretty unkeepable. It's like 2 mana, and you're just praying that you draw something, which should never be the case. And seeing that Rebel did keep her first 7, I'm assuming she is gonna push for a really fast win. And I could get severely punished by Glucose if I'm not being more proactive on my turn before he can establish any stacks pieces.
On the surface, this hand has a lot of really cool action going on. So I have like 2 lands, which is, the first time in a while. I have some Ramp and Lotus Petal. I have a Sword of Fire and Ice, which is some spicy Heliod tech, but lets me draw cards and ping stuff down. I have a Weathered Wayfarer, which is honestly one of my new... It's not a new, it's one of my favorite techs, because now we have Urza's Saga, which is a land that can fetch off it. So that's something that I can also think about in the future. I even have my own Walking Ballista here, and a Salvage Scout, which can recur my Walking Ballista, or even Lotus Petal if I need to ramp. But the issue is, I'm a Stacks deck, and there isn't a single Stacks piece in this hand. And I just don't think this is just like an uber greedy, like focusing only on myself and my things combo. And I don't think that's fast enough or like efficient enough to win. Because even Wayfarer can't even find any Stacks lands because those don't really exist in this yet. So yeah, this is definitely.
And I feel like I'm getting punished right now, but I have no lands in hand, so this is an obvious mull for me to go down to 5.
This is just not good enough, I don't think, even on a 6. So, once again, we have the issue of I have 1 land. Thankfully, I also have like 4 1-drops that can all get played off that 1 land, so it's not the worst even if I had to keep that. So what this is basically set up is I can turn 1 Prismatic Vista into end-step Plains in Light Tutor, probably for a Crypt, because I need mana, into a turn 2 Archon of Emeria, which I think is a solid play. But then again, it doesn't really deal... It stacks out Krunch pretty well. It can be annoying for Kinnan, but I don't really think it does anything to Rebel. So that's why it's not the best hand. And then, since I'm also saving up for basically an end step and Light Tutor, I can't drop any of these 1-drops, so my Weathered Wayfarer and Devoted Caretaker are also kind of weak. I want something better. I want, like, more ramp, please.
That's fair.
This hand, I guess there's a little too much risk involved. Being that Rebel did keep her first 7, this hand is kind of the idea is to just gamble for Crypt and Wheel on turn 2, which is, if that's kind of the only line of play, it's not something I'm super confident about, especially if it just turns out that I'm refueling Bus and Rebel in this case, and it is quite slow. I don't have any fast mana, and I'm really banking on this gamble, and you know, obviously I do trust my luck, maybe not so much after these hands, but...
Now, Wheels are really scary of Kinnan. Like, really scary of Kinnan.
Yeah. I'll keep this. I'm on a 5, so let me button up some cards.
I'm going to 3. I think, you know, when you reach a certain point, there's a bit of sunken cost bias that occurs. You know, the hand it's something, but given kind of the current state of affairs as previously mentioned, this is something I definitely would ship back and hopefully just finding... I think what I would prioritize more than anything now is fast mana, and obviously going to 3, you want to find a cheaper payoff in the form of something like Heuristic Study or Mystic Remora, especially if, you know, Rebel and Bus are trying to go off, but this hand just doesn't really do anything in the first few turns, and being at 4 is already a disadvantage, so I might as well go big or go small or go home at this point. So I will ship this back. I keep this. Yeah.
From Golos is the next step to, I guess we're keeping.
I'm getting a lot of karma right now.
Alright, you good?
Let's go.
Alright. I will draw a card. Oh, that's really interesting. I will crack this for... Let's get a trop. Let's get a trop. Where's my trop? Then I will play this birds. Yeah, I pass.
Tap up, keep draw. Put my main phase. Play the Windswept Teeth. And then I'll just path track.
I'll draw. Windswept, I'll crack it now. Need to for Plains of Pass.
Gonna play a Verdant Catacombs. Crack it. I will also go for my trop. I'm gonna play a Mana Crypt.
Mm-hmm.
I will say go.
Interesting. Should we play till like turn 3? Because we didn't do anything turn 1.
It's like,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'd say turn 3 would be a good idea.
Okay, let's see how it goes.
yeah, I was like,
Let's
it's,
draw.
yeah.
Alright. Let's thinkies here. It's kind of interesting. Okay. I'll play a Hierarch, and I'll play a Deathrite Shaman,
Oh my god.
and I'll pass. You guys thought I kept the fastest hand possible.
You,
At the
you
end
just
of the-
kept every single dork.
I'll crack my Windsub Teeth for a Tundra, and then cast an Enlighten Tutor.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty.
Okay, that's priority.
You're good.
Lovely.
Draw my Remora. The main phase. So play this Breeding Pool on tap. And then attempt to cast the Remora.
Yes.
You're good.
I'll attempt to cast a Worldly Tutored response.
Yep.
Pass on both ways.
Yep.
In that case, we're going to grab a Prophet of Distortion and pop it on top.
Oh, that's scary.
That's vaguely alarming.
Okay. I will pass the turn.
Untap, upkeep, draw. I'm gonna play a tapped Emiria Skycall and enter.
I will take it.
What kind of solitude Swords to Plowshare's hand did you keep?
Yeah, there's 100% a silence or something. Move to upkeep.
Yep.
Roll for crypt.
Thought this was a stack.
I want to 5. We don't mulligan that good at all.
Draw my card. Move to main 1. Gonna play an island. I think I do play the Kinnan here.
That makes sense.
Yep.
Lame.
Sounds good
Then
to
I
me.
pass the turn.
Because yeah, next turn you can basically hold up what profit plus draw profit. It's probably fine.
Yeah.
Yes. If we see it next turn.
Who's gonna kill us?
I'll tap 2 for a Lavinia. And then I'll play Mana Vault. You can draw.
Remora trigger.
Yeah, you can draw. I'll tap Remora, the Vault for 3, and the blue for Karn.
Remora trigger.
Yeah, you're good, you can draw.
Pass on Karn.
Pass some card.
Pass
And,
on turn.
and I'll uptick them but not animate the Mana Crypt.
Why?
Just so they can take damage.
Oh, I guess so. Yeah, sure.
And I'll get punished, I'll pass.
So this is Lavinia.
Yep.
Yes.
Untap. On my upkeep, I would like to take my Remora. Oh, I was gonna do an enter, sorry. Main 1. I'm going to exile Simian Spirit Guide for a red. And then tapping the Breeding Pool and using the Simian mana, I'm going to cast Manamorphose.
Yep.
It's pretty.
Yeah, pass.
I'll use both to cast a Demonic Tutor.
Pass party.
Pass priority.
That's fine.
I'm in a bit of a hole here. Ooh,
Yeah, that Lavinia is mean.
yeah. I think this might just have to be it. Pass.
Cool. Untap, upkeep, draw. Nice. Stack over planes. Tap 3. I'm gonna cast an Archon of Emiria.
Sounds good.
Pass priority.
Put sadness on the stack. You're good.
Then I'll pass.
Okay. I'll take it. Untap. Upkeep. Heads. Draw step, draw. Oh. I'll then play the Misty Rainforest. Tapped.
Oh, that's rough.
Yeah, it's a little rough. It's not too bad. Then I will play a Prophet of Distortion as my spell for turn.
Okay.
That's something.
And then I'll say go.
Alright, so that's the last turn. So I guess we'll just show what we kept now, right?
Yep.
Yep.
So this is basically my hand. I kept it because I wasn't planning on going super hard into this pod, knowing there's like some removal probably from Heliod potentially. Also, I think Lavinia in here is really good against Krunch and potentially against Bus. I'm not quite sure what Lavinia does. Like, Lavinia stops like your Tide Spout combo maybe if you're trying to go for the zero.
Play the Tide Spout combo.
Yeah, so Lavinia mainly was really just for Krunch. I also what I liked about this hand is the land and the birds or any one of these mana dorks. If I top deck a land, I can do a turn 2 Malcolm, which is a play I really like because I expect this game to go a little long, so just getting the treasure is pretty good. If I really need it, I could have like Mana Vault and then into the Malcolm. But I didn't top deck the land, so instead I went for the double dork because I top decked the Culling Ritual, I think. Yeah, I think I drew the Culling Ritual and then I drew the Karn afterwards. So it was really just a super grindy game. That's how I wanted to play it, and I will play Sisay and just slowly grind my way there and never cast Jegantha unless it's like super duper safe. Yeah, so the way that game went, I expecting to play Lavinia turn 2, but seeing that Krunch went to 5, and I was surprised like how little rocks there were, so I didn't feel like Lavinia was super necessary, so I got to like build my board with the dorks. That's basically it.
So for me, I went to 3, and this was the 7 that I saw. I mean, for me, I guess the way I had gauged the pod, I assumed that Rebel I guess maybe it's just inexperience playing against the Sisay deck, or maybe just what I've seen in the past, was I assumed that, she would try to push for an early win. Either her or Bus would try to do so, and it would kind of be a losing fight for me to try and be, or given the hands that I had previously, there was nothing I could do to kind of keep up. And I was just kind of hoping that, I could find something like that of a Mystic Remora or a Ristic Study, and just kind of the way that the game goes, I'm kind of at the mercy of what Glucose does to establish the stack pieces. And kind of, it was great that he could establish the Archon of Amira, because the way I see the game going, even though that it's super harsh against my Mystic Remora, I'm super glad to kind of just sit back and let the game slowly come to me. And it was great that I eventually got to land the tutor, and the card that I actually tutored for, unbeknownst to me, knowing the existence of Archon Amira, was a Culling Ritual as well. And to me, that card was just going to be a
Culling
huge...
would have been amazing.
Would have just been a huge
Archon would
blow.
have lived, but it would have been, I think it would have killed a lot of relevant stuff.
Yeah, but I tutored for it before knowing the Archon would come down, so to me it was like kind of, the idea was to establish the Mystic Remora with Enlightened Tutor, or even hopefully find something like a Ristic Study, wheels, just because my deck plays such a high density of these payoffs in the form of all the wheels, all the generically good card advantage engines. And to me, that Culling Ritual was a high priority target, because it would just blow out Rebel and Bus's boards and give me a lot of mana to proceed with my plans.
So for me, the 7 I saw was a Solitude. You were right, Ripple. It was just I was waiting for it. Windswept Heat, Snow-Covered Plains, Arcana of Myria, Silence, Aether Vial, and Nykthos. So deciding my mulligans was really interesting because I like Aether Vial a lot in this deck. But looking at my opening hand, what's the only creature I have I can use it on off this is my Archon. So that's a turn 3. And going down to 5 anyways, I was like, this is basically just a Dockside Theater for 3 turns. It does almost nothing if I'm hoping to draw a land anyway, so this was my bottom targets. And also, so was Nykthos, as you can see, I don't have a lot of like permanent white on the board, so that's why I bottomed these 2 cards. My first draw of the game was Fragmentize, which I did consider using on the Vault, on the Crypt, but I was like, I want to save my Fragmentize because there was a fish out. Then I drew 2 lands. But yeah, so this is my 5 that I kept. I liked it. I think it was pretty solid. I dropped my Arcana because I need to slow down the game a little bit. Maybe just draw some stuff eventually, and maybe I can even I can hard cast a Solitude in a bit. That would be pretty hot.
Yeah. And then, so this was the 7 I kept. It is admittedly a greedy keep, but what it really did here was it had the flexibility. It has 3 lands, including 1 basic, in case, there's an Archon or there's any kind of, land hate I'm seeing from Glucose. I do have that 1 snow-covered island there, if I need to play it. I also have my 2 fetches, which will put me into my turn 1, turn 2, if I need them. I had the turn 1, I could hold up Worldly Tutor or the Chain. The Worldly Tutor was always going to hit Profit just because it has less of a color commitment than Thrasios does. And once I make Infinite Mana, I don't particularly care how I do it. And I had the Crypt with the Monolith. So this was it was admittedly a greedy hand, but the hard part is it was a relatively functional hand until I saw a Karn from that.
Karn really shut down.
Karn really disrupted my hand. Because I had the chain for an Archon or a Rule of Law coming off of Glucose, but I'm not going to be able to hit both the Karn and the Archon, sadly.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. So if he didn't play Archon, you still would have had it, right?
Not. If you didn't play Karn, I still probably have it. Because it's a little bit easier for you, especially considering how much mana you had to sack a land and bounce it, and bounce my Kinnan.
Oh, right.
Whereas it's a little bit harder, I think, for Glucose to be giving up lands at this point in the game. So if I'm just bouncing the Archon, it's scary, but also seeing Glucose did have the Solitude with a Silence to exile, so definitely would have just disrupted my board state completely.
Yeah, I didn't think about Karn being the super impactful because I only saw that mana crypt, so I was like, yeah, I'll play it and see what happens. I have the mana for it, so I might as well. That's kind of like how Stacks works, right? Like you play it to stop all the future plays, but I didn't realize like that it was that one.
Looking at the state of the game, it is super interesting because there are like, even though Rebel is playing a combo-centric deck, like the existence of Karn hinders a lot of strategies like Glucose plus. Even myself.
And something to kill, but I didn't really fear it much because in the end, I have a flyer that can kind of grow if I really had to go to like late game, so it wasn't the worst. But yeah.
And for me, like just going down to 3 was already a disadvantage, but I felt like I did get back into the game, realizing that it was going to be a grindier game with the Rhystic Remora and Demonic Tutor. That was confirmed best deck.
Yeah,
was the Demonic Tutor the top deck off of the Metamorphose? Or did you already have it?
I already had it. The top deck was Gwen. I clearly believed in the heart of the cards. It was I top decked the line off of the Metamorphose.
Yeah,
kind of the only thought process there was making the black and red just in case you find Dockside.
Dockside wasn't that good in that pod. Even if I didn't have the Karn, there was only a crypt and like
and
a vault. Yeah, and Remora.
Yeah.
Yeah, normally I don't play this deck as fast anymore, just because like I always suspect that like people who know how to play against this deck generally like have things. So unless I have like the best hand, I've found that this deck just plays pretty well, like kind of grindy.
Just the tutors that Sisay offers you as well are just so amazing.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, this hand I saw was like, it had all 5 mana basically. If I top deck a land, these 3, and the land fuels the tutors and also the Malcolm, so like, it was pretty good.
That's a very solid 7.
Yes.
Sad.
Very.
I'm going down to 5.
I'll say I definitely think that Krunch having to go to 3 really did impact the game as
Well,
well.
definitely. Just be like, we can go slow.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, that's pretty much it. I was like, oh, instead of taking a risky play, I can just pass the turn.
yeah, it was not the best. I think the 5 that I could have kept would have been okay, but to me, the not having kind of a turn 1 play was the biggest turnoff for me, because if I was kind of banking on a top deck, and 2, not having a great proactive turn 1 play and allowing glucose to establish a stack piece before I can make anything out of my turn, where I kind of get a free pass on his stacks, would have just meant like kind of the death of me and not being able to set up anything. And you know, some people may have taken the 5, but the 3 still let me establish the Mystic Remora to hopefully, you know, win out the longer game and be somewhat relevant.
So that's everything we have for today. Thanks for watching the first episode of Greedy Peeps. Let me know in the comment section below what you think about the format, and if you want to see any players or decks on the show. I hope this video was educational and interesting. I think it's a really interesting format, and I actually learned quite a bit myself, so I look forward to making a couple more of these. Till then,